Welcome, welcome. If I see you smile, I know you can hear me. Okay, so I have everybody on mute at this time. I'm actually using a microphone. I don't have the piece that I need to be able to hear the sound from the computer. So I will have to remember to take off this microphone at the end of the service when everybody says their good Shabbos. So I'm going to be welcoming everybody in as you come on, and give it a couple minutes as we always do. And I will try to also share the link to the live broadcast. Remember to take off this mic. Oh, well, it is really loud. Share. Give it another 2 minutes. Welcome everyone. So let me go through my list here. Teddy and Sam, welcome, welcome. Julie, welcome. Lenny and Betty, Larry and Betty, excuse me, welcome, welcome. Roz, welcome. Esther Malka, welcome. And Tzvi, welcome. We'll give it another 2 minutes or 2 minutes, should be good. And we will begin. I'm going to dedicate tonight's service to the memory of, second, just change the setting. 1 second. Okay, going to dedicate tonight's service, pre-Shabbat service, to someone who is whose family is very involved with our Chabad. Passed away earlier this week on Sunday. I believe it was Sunday. Yeah, Sunday morning. Rachel Weiss, the mother of Rami Weiss. Rami and Wendy had their kids in our Hebrew school, now in our team program. And Rachel was actually present at our gala last year because her son Rami spoke, and she and her husband Sulanga Yar, should be blessed with long life, joined, and we became very close over the last couple of years. And so I'm going to dedicate it to her memory. And she was always with a smile, so we'll do it with a smile. So I want to just mention, usually we have a little music. The next, as we begin our service this evening, and for the next couple weeks, I will not be putting on music, although we'll do some singing. And the reason is because we have now entered, as of yesterday, into the 3 weeks of mourning in preparation for Tisha B'Av, the 9th of Av, which commemorates the destruction of both the first and second temple. We'll talk a little bit about today during our service. During these 3 weeks, after they broke into Jerusalem, the walls of Jerusalem, and began a massacre of Jewish people, and the destruction of the temple is a time of mourning for the Jewish people, and therefore, during this time, we do not take haircuts or listen to music. During the 9 days prior to the 9th of Av, we actually begin a more, I should say, a more severe or more mourning period, during which time we don't drink wine or eat meat either. But as this is the time of the 3 weeks, so we are not going to have any music during our pre-Shabbat service. But again, we will have some singing. We'll begin with our first prayer and meditation. Yedid Nefesh. So last week we did meditation number 4. We're going back to meditation number 1. So we'll do the overview of this prayer. This poem was first published in a book called Sefer Charedim in Venice in 1601. And the book was written by 16th century Sephardic Kabbalist Rabbi Elazar ben Moshe Azikri. His philosophy centered around the intense love one must feel for God, a theme that is evident in this poem. The first letters of each of the 4 verses make up the 4-letter name of God. Yedid, Nefesh, Yud, Hey, Vav, and a Hey, as we'll see on the next slide. So the root word kesef, found in the second paragraph, can be translated as both a yearning love as well as kesef means silver. Kesef also means money, but it comes from silver. Silver is found in the depths of the earth and must be softened and melted in order to be purified. Similarly, a yearning love for God exists within the depths of our earthly animal soul. Many have the belief, those who understand and have studied a little Kabbalah and understand the concept of a godly soul, the animal soul, and therefore the different drives that we all have, the drives for good and the drives for self-satisfaction, which comes from our animal soul. And we think of everything godly related to our godly soul. And the truth is, within our animal soul, there is also a yearning love for God, except that it is hidden. And our job, like silver, this love must be purified and refined and revealed. So by first softening our rough character traits. So in order for us to bring out the love that's even within our earthly animal soul, we have to soften our character traits and become more edel, more refined. And the more refined we become, the more that love for God will be felt within us. So let's begin with Yedid Nefesh. On the left side of the page, you have the transliteration. And I know some of you have become very comfortable with this song. And so please join along for the prayer. Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh. Avarachamon. Mishaych Avdecha. Eretz Oinecha Yarot Avdecha Kemo Yayom Yishtachabe Elmo Adorecha Yerav Eloi Yedidoi Secha Minoi Fesetzof V'chol toam Adonai Ziv Olam nafshicha yilas avosecha. Oh no, no, refano lo, beharois lo, no yamzivecha, ostis chazeik, v'si yisrapei, v'hoi sala, simcha soilom. Third paragraph. Vasikyemu rachamecha v'chusana al beinahu v'cha ki ze kamo nichsoif nichsafti lidois pesiferes Ozecha elecha meda libi v'chosana v'yahalti salam higolena ufrois chavivi olai Eso kashloi mecha to'ir eretz mikvoidecha nagila v'nismecha bach ma'erov kivamoyed v'chaneinu Kimeyolam, did it ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay, the ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay, did it da 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 da, the ay 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 ay, did it ay 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 ay. Da 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 da, ya 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 ya. In English, beloved of the soul, compassionate Father, draw your servant to your will. Then your servant will hurry like a hart to bow before your majesty. To him your friendship will be sweeter than the dipping of the honeycomb and all taste. Majestic, beautiful radiance of the universe, my soul is sick for your love. Please, O God, heal her now by showing her the pleasantness of your radiance, and she will be strengthened and healed, and eternal gladness will be hers. O worthy one, may your mercy be aroused, and please take pity on the son of your beloved, because it is so very long that I have yearned intensely to see the splendor of your strength. Only these my heart desired, so please take pity and do not conceal yourself. Please be revealed and spread upon me, my beloved, the shelter of your peace, that we may rejoice and be glad with you. Hasten, beloved, for the time has come, and show us grace as in days of old. So as it is the beginning of the 3 weeks, before I share my weekly story, I want to share a little bit about the 3 weeks and the building of the Beit HaMikdash, of the Holy Temple. The Medrash, which is quoted here, says as follows. And so did Rav Shmuel bar Abba say, the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Israel, even though the temple is destined to be destroyed in the future, and the sacrifices to be nullified, do not allow yourselves to forget the order of the sacrifices, but rather be careful to read about them and review them. And if you occupy yourself with them, I will count it for you as if you were occupied with the sacrifices themselves. And so, This is one of the reasons why before the morning and afternoon prayer, each and every day, we read a section called Karbanot, which means offerings. In those sections, we read about the sacrifices that were given in the morning, the daily sacrifice in the morning and the daily sacrifice in the afternoon. And by reading about them, it is considered as if we ourselves have brought up those offerings to God. Now, the word karban, which means sacrifice, also comes from the Hebrew word lekarev, which means to bring close. And the idea of the sacrifices is to bring us close to God. And so by reading about them and by praying, the idea is for us to bring ourselves close to God. And if you want to know that this is so, come and see that when the Holy One, blessed be He, showed Ezekiel, the form of the temple, what did he say? Describe the temple to the house of Israel. Let them be ashamed of their iniquities and measure the plan. Now we know that the temple was destroyed because of our sins. And so God says that he should show the form of the temple to the Jewish people. Now this happened right after the destruction of the first temple, which was about 2,500 years ago. And it was right after the Jewish people were taken, many killed, and then those who weren't, taken with chains to Babylonia, to exile, where they remained for 70 years. And Ezekiel is quite perturbed by, as we will see in the next section, by God's request of showing them the temple. And so Ezekiel responded to the Holy One, blessed be He, and he said as follows: until now, we are put into exile in the land of our enemies, and you say to me to go and inform Israel about the form of the temple and write in their eyes, and they should preserve it. It should preserve its form and all of its statutes and do them. Like, this is the wrong time to start asking the Jewish people to start imagining the picture of the temple rebuilt and all the offerings and all the good things. It just doesn't seem like the right time to go and tell them this. And are they able to do them? Leave them until they emerge from the exile, and afterwards I will go and tell them. Don't bother them right now. This is Ezekiel standing up for the Jewish people and feeling for their sensitive to their feelings and what they had gone through. So the Holy One, blessed be He, said to Yechezkel, and because my children are in exile, the building of my temple shall be idle. The Holy One, blessed be He, said to him, its reading in the Torah is as great as its building. Go and say it to them, and they will occupy themselves to read the form of the temple in the Torah. And in reward for this reading, that they occupy themselves to read about it, I count it for them as if they were occupied with the building of the temple. And so it seems from this text, as the Rebbe points out, first of all, there's a commandment, one of the 613 commandments in the Torah, that we should make a sanctuary. It says, "Va'asuli mikdash," they shall make a sanctuary, and I will dwell amongst them. This commandment is not only a commandment for the time that they had to create that sanctuary, but is a commandment to each and every one of us for eternity. And so we have an obligation to build a temple. An idea of reading about the temple and building the temple is not only to remember what was done in the past, which means the fact that we once had a temple, but the idea is that, as we see in the verse, request from Psalms 122, if you look at the second paragraph on the screen, request the welfare, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim, request the welfare of Jerusalem, may those who love you enjoy tranquility. That there is an obligation for us to request the welfare of Jerusalem and to remember the welfare of Jerusalem. And by learning and reading about the temple we request the welfare of Jerusalem, and we, as it says in this medrash, as God says to Ezekiel, it's as if we ourselves built the temple. Being that now is the beginning of the 3 weeks, the Rebbe encouraged that we should study about the temple, because if there's any time that's important to build the temple, there's no better time than now, during this 3 weeks. During the time when the destruction of the temple happened, this is the time when we should focus even more than a regular day to build the temple, do all we can to build the temple. And how do we do it? By reading about the temple, by studying the laws of the temple, the measurements of the temple. And I want to just point out, if you look at the temple here, this is a live model that's actually in Jerusalem. I believe it's in Jerusalem. I have been there and I've seen it. A beautiful model of the temple and the way it was during the Second Temple era and how Jerusalem looked. So you get a real picture of what it looked like. The only thing that is deceiving is its size. Because I think if you look at it, we always try in our minds when we see a picture, I think for most people, we imagine something based on the way we've experienced it. So if we see a picture of something, we look at it the way our eyes are trained to see things. So if anybody's seen a large shul, you imagine the biggest structure in the temple, in the center of the temple, is probably, I think you could see my cursor circling around the largest part of the temple. And that looks maybe like the size of, I would say bigger than 770. Maybe it's a large shul somewhere. Some people have seen one of these large shuls in Manhattan or elsewhere in Borough Park. That's the large Bethel shul. That's how I always imagine this picture. But it's actually much, much larger. In order to appreciate how large this area is, and which is the main sanctuary, I want to talk about the doors, the smaller doors that you see. If you look at these smaller doors, they are actually 20 amot high. 20 amot or 30 amot. It's about 5, it has to be more than that. 20 amot. If it's 20 amot, it's going to be around 30 feet high. Yeah. It's about 5 times the size of a human being. Okay? That's the small doors. The small doors here are 5 times the size of a human being. The large doors were several times that. So now you get a picture. Someone put it to me, if you look at the Temple Mount, the size of the Temple Mount is about 3 small blocks and 1 long block in Brooklyn. If you've been to Crown Heights and you look at 770 as the block of 770 going 3 short blocks, that's the size of Temple Mount. It was huge. It was a huge, huge structure. The Temple Mount is very big, and the temple itself was something magnificent and of tremendous, tremendous size. So this week, I just wanted to share that with you. And God willing, in future weeks, as we lead to the day of Tisha B'Av, and hopefully with Hashem's help, we'll merit to the rebuilding of the 3rd Beit HaMikdash, and be able to witness it and enter those beautiful, incredible doors. Each week I will try to share a few little points about the Beit HaMikdash, about the Holy Temple. And now for our weekly story, because I know many of you look forward to that. Today I want to tell you a story about Abe Sachs. Now, Abe Sachs was a high school basketball coach, And he was also at some point a trainer for the Harlem Globetrotters basketball team. And the story is that one day in 1973, he was watching TV, and there was a series of on religious America. And Abe is watching this series, and that particular week that he turned on the TV, the series was about Crown Heights. And it had some footage from 770 Eastern Parkway. And he was so captivated by the images of Rabbi Schneerson, of the Rebbe, that he got up and he headed over to 770 Eastern Parkway. And as he came into 770, he was so inspired. He was met by some yeshiva boys who looked at him and said, "Would you like to put on tefillin?" And he said, "Sure." He was so inspired by the TV show. He said, "Sure, I'll put on tefillin." And so Abe put on tefillin, and he said, "I want to meet Rabbi Schneerson." And they said, "If you want to meet Rabbi Schneerson, you got to come back." I think he may have met him at some point also before the Farbrengen, but they told him, "Come back, and you'll be able to experience Rabbi Schneerson's Farbrengen live." They told him when the next Farbrengen would be, and Abe turned up, and this image is from a Farbrengen. Abe at a Farbrengen at 770 Eastern Parkway, and Abe being a coach, and the Rebbe encouraging him, he would stand up on the bench, and he would lead the singing like a coach. So this is Abe Sachs. He became very, very, very close, and he would attend the Farbrengens. He would come to every Farbrengen, and he would often turn up at 770 to put on tefillin, and he started to become very, very close to the Rebbe and to the Chabad community in Crown Heights. There was one day, one night, that the Rebbe made a surprise Farbrengen. And Abe Sachs turned up at 770 the next morning. And when he came in, he learned that there was a Farbrengen the night before, and he was extremely upset. He felt very disappointed, and that he had missed the Farbrengen of the Rebbe. He just loved, he got so much energy from these Farbrengens. And he was so upset. And he stood by as the Rebbe was going into the shul. And as the Rebbe was entering into the shul, the Rebbe stopped and went over to Abe. And the Rebbe asked him, "Where were you at the Farbrengen last night?" And Abe says, "I didn't know there was a Farbrengen." And the Rebbe made sure that after that, whenever there was a Farbrengen in 770, Abe Sachs was informed to make sure that he knew that there was a Farbrengen, and he came and he was very involved. So two little stories that I think we could learn from this, from the relationship of Abe Sachs and the interaction with the Rebbe. At one point, as he was becoming more involved and praying and putting on tefillin, he started to feel, which I know many of us in our community feel the same way, that when we're reading Hebrew, he felt a little bit uncomfortable that he wasn't able to read the Hebrew. I don't know that he was able to read Hebrew at all, but Abe Sachs was a little bit, he was feeling down that he wasn't able to pray properly in Hebrew. And he expressed this to the Rebbe. And the Rebbe told him that God understands English as well. And of course, he was very uplifted from this. And so I think we also can learn to remember that God understands, as the Rebbe told him, God understands all languages, English as well. There was one day that he came in very early in the morning, and the Rebbe said to him, "Why don't you sleep? You're not sleeping enough." And he said to the Rebbe, "You don't sleep enough either." It was well known that the Rebbe only slept a couple hours a night, if that. So he said to the Rebbe, he said, you don't sleep either at night. So the Rebbe said, I don't sleep because I'm worried about many people who send in their requests and I have a lot to worry about. And that's why I don't sleep. And the Rebbe said, why don't you sleep? So Abe Sachs once told over this story, and he said that the reason why that made me go to sleep because I didn't want the Rebbe to worry more about me. So we should always know that the Rebbe worries about every single one of us. But I want to finish off the story that Abe Sachs passed away in 1985. And I don't believe he had very much family. And the Rebbe paid for his burial arrangements and the recitation of Kaddish. So this is, and one last thing. There was a time that a group of young men came to Crown Heights. This is also beautiful. After Abe started actually studying in a yeshiva in Crown Heights, like attending the classes. And there was a group of young men, boys or men who came to Crown Heights. Obviously, they weren't religious. And the Rebbe told Abe Sachs, he said, you should go and coach them with religion. Which means if this is your job, you're a coach in every way. So the Rebbe showed we all have our strengths. And the Rebbe encouraged him, especially at the Farbrengens. And so I found a beautiful clip of, as I said, we can't have music, but we could certainly sing. And I found a clip of the Rebbe's Farbrengen where they're singing the famous song, She'ibana Beis HaMikdash, asking Hashem that the temple should be rebuilt. So in continuation, both of our little discussion about the building of the temple, as well as the story of Abe Sachs, here's a video of the Rebbe singing She'ibana Beis HaMikdash, asking Hashem that we should be able to merit to the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. And there in the crowd, you will see Abe Sachs. But I have to do something. I have to stop sharing for a second my screen because I don't remember if I put sound on the sharing things, and I want you to be able to hear it. So let me do this again. Here we go. And this should do it. 1 second. Julie, give me thumbs up if you can hear it. Thank you. This is not Abe Sachs. I actually may have done a different clip. Forgive me if Abe Sachs is not seen here. I was watching a couple videos on YouTube. Now you could feel like Abe Sachs. Lots of Abe Sachs over here. So, you know, it's funny because the reason why I thought of Abe Sachs was because I was watching a video And that's what reminded me to share the story of Abe Sachs. And then I said, okay, I'm going to find a video with Sheyabana, and I thought that's the one I saw Abe Sachs. Okay, next time I'll show you maybe one day a video of Abe Sachs at the Farbrengen, or you can Google or go to YouTube and do Abe Sachs Rebbe, and I'm sure you'll see multiple videos of Abe Sachs at a Farbrengen. Okay, my apologies. We're going to be doing chapter 119. This is the same verse that I read at the gala on Wednesday night, but tonight we'll do it with a meditation. So the Hebrew word used for heart, which is leiv, in Tehillim chapter 119, verse 7, I shall thank you with an upright heart, is in the plural form. So it actually doesn't say leiv, but it actually says leivav. This teaches us that it is possible for both parts of our heart, our good inclination, our godly soul, and our bad, evil inclination, our animalistic soul, to praise God. When we study and internalize the words of Torah, we are able to influence our evil inclination to join God's praise. So we spoke about earlier how the evil inclination has hidden within it. It has the animalistic soul, which is the cause of our evil inclination. We want to get rid of the evil part and get the animal soul to be more focused. So the animal soul has the ability to praise God through our transforming ourselves and transforming our character, becoming more refined. And how do we do this? Through the study of Torah. And so at this time, before we read the prayer and meditate on this, I want to encourage each and every one of you to join me for a new series on Kabbalah, the garments of the soul, that will give us the tools to be able to work on our thought, speech, and action, to become more refined so that we could feel more godly, more spiritual in our lives. Monday nights at 7:30. You know, I'm getting mixed up between the 7s and the 7:30s at night. Fridays are still at 7, but Monday nights are at 7:30. 7:30 to 8:30 Monday night. Starting this Monday, the 13th, we'll begin this new series, and I invite you all to join me on Zoom, the same link. At this time, we will read the first 8 verses. This is actually the longest chapter in Tehillim, in the book of Psalms. We're going to read the first 8 verses. There are 8 verses for each of the alphabet. This is the first 8, which every verse here begins with the letter Aleph. Ashrei semimei darech ha'holchim b'stoiras Adonai. Ashrei noitzrei doisav b'chol alev yidreshu. Af eloi fa'alu avela b'derachav halachu. Ata tzivisa fi kodecha lishmar ma'od. Achala yikoinu derachai lishmar chukecha. Az lo yevoish bi'abiti el kol mitzvaysecha. Oitcha b'yosher levav v'lomdi mishpetei tzidkecha. Es chukecha eshmoir al tazveini ad meyoid. In English, something's skipping on my page. Julie, can you hear me still? Okay. Praiseworthy are those whose way is perfect, who walk with the law of the Lord. Praiseworthy are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him wholeheartedly. Not only have they committed no injustice, they walked in his ways. You commanded your precepts to keep diligently. My prayers are that my ways shall be established, to keep your statutes. Then I shall not be ashamed when I look at all your commandments. I shall thank you with an upright heart when I learn the judgments of your righteousness. I shall keep your statutes. Do not forsake me utterly. And we will finish off. First mention, and I have to say I did not update the time because I usually don't go this far when I'm preparing the new slides. So sometimes I forget to put them, and some of the weeks in the past weeks have been the same time. I'm just going to double check. I believe it's 8:11, but I want to double check so that I give you the right time. Today's candle lighting time in our area, yes, is indeed at 8:11. So in half hour, exactly half hour is candle lighting. Please try to give tzedakah, a little charity, in a charity box before the candle lighting. Light the candles, usher in the Shabbos, and let's join together for one last song. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav. Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael. V'imru.